Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're just going to give everyone a minute to get connected to audio and video here. Thank you for being on the call today. I know it is a busy time of year, and also I know, you're all probably very busy getting started planning for 2025. So we're very pleased to kick this off a little bit earlier this year and hopefully really, have an opportunity to provide each other with some good resources. All right, I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Please let me know if you can see that okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much. All right. So hi. Let's go ahead and take a look at our agenda and where we're going to start and what we're going to cover today. So I would like to begin by taking a look at those that have submitted their surveys so far, just so we can view the dates that we have so far planned for upcoming regional conferences. Those of you that had a conference this past year, bear with me a little bit. We have some that are every other year, so I want to make sure we mention resources you may already be aware of, like the Regional Conference Community on Connection Cafe. We are going to have a quick update on the partners and some room for conversation there. And then we are going to review the strategic partner regional sponsor update. And then as far as CFMA support that we have available for you, we have some marketing tools. And we're also going to have some time for conversation. It was mentioned at our wrap-up call that we had several conferences that were having, some challenges when it came to AV needs. So we're going to have some time for conversation around that as well. And Jenny Spriggs, our conference planner, is here on the call to provide some insight as well. Any questions so far before we get started? Okay, thank you so much. I will jump right in. If you have a question, you can feel free to put it in the chat, raise your hand, or just shout it out, and I will do my best to take a look at that. And
Sean, I'll
go
keep an eye on the chat for you.
Thank you so much. And if anyone needs to jump off, I was asked to record this call so that we can share that with everyone. So it will be recorded as well. Okay, so just reviewing our goals for supporting you in your regional conferences. We shared this last year. I am pleased to tell you that work is underway on the conference toolkit. I'm getting close to a final draft, so I hope to have that available for all of you soon. As you all know, Susan has been hard at work creating resources for us to use, again, for this year. And Heidi has been working to get the information for the additional partners, as well as the principal partner support in that strategic alignment as well. So I know all of you, a lot of have already been asking for this information. Here are the dates that we have submitted so far for the regional conferences. I know that at this point in time, this list is not going to be representative of all of the regional conferences that will be taking place. I know some conferences are still working to secure dates. And again, we ask for this information a little bit earlier than we typically do. So we certainly understand if some of you are still working on it. And I will send this out after the call. Now, if you, yes,
Sean,
go ahead.
the Florida dates are wrong on
Okay.
your list.
Yeah, southeastern are wrong as well.
You have this year's dates.
Yeah, they all look like this was 2024 dates that you got there.
Really?
I know that was Virginia's.
Okay.
It was for southeastern too.
All right. Well, I will definitely take a look at that and make sure that it gets updated. Okay, so that was Southeastern and Virginia, and what was the other one?
Florida.
Also Lone Star.
And Carolinas.
Double check Pacific Northwest.
Check Louisiana. too.
Louisiana is fine.
Hey, and you know what? This is
Good.
why we share this with all of you first before it goes live. So let me take a look at those dates, and I will send an updated listing of what I have so far out to everyone. And then if you have not yet submitted your survey yet, you have time to do so to make sure that I have your dates included as well. And everyone, I'm so sorry for the mix up on those.
Dawn, do you know if John Moran submitted the one for Southeast? Because I'm new for this next coming year.
I would have to take a look and see who submitted that, so I don't know off the top of my head.
If it hasn't been submitted, if you can just let me know, I will submit one.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is the link, and we'll provide this after the call to everyone as well. And that is just to submit the survey to get all of your information in. So I did ask for a few other things this year that we didn't ask for in the past. One of them is a secondary conference contact. You know, just in case you're out of the office and we have a question, we have something that comes up, just to make sure that we have someone we can reach out to. That is really helpful. And then your committee listing. For those of you that are submitting your committee listing, I know last year we asked you to, you know, invite everyone on your planning group to the Connection Cafe. I understand that's a lot more work on all of you, so I can certainly just take that list and get everyone added to that community, if that's, you know, a little bit easier for everyone. Now, if you're going to be hosting a chapter summit, you can certainly decide on that later, but if you know now you'd like to have one, you can indicate that here. And then this is not all encompassing. We will still ask you for a photo, but I know while we are, you know, getting a sense of the dates, we might not exactly have locations and photos yet. If you want to use the same one you did last year, if you have the same location, you know, you can certainly do that again, and I'll just confirm with you that that's the picture. Anything else before I move to the next slide? Okay. All right. This is our regional conference community within Connection Cafe. So we will be posting updates here. You know, when we have logos available for you, we'll share those there. We'll put updates in here. It's a great place for all of you to ask questions of one another. If you have something come up and you want to know how another conference has, you know, handled something similarly or, you know, done that. So we hope you will use it. It's been a really good tool so far. And we like to see, you know, these tools work for all of you. So thank you, all of you that are in there using that. And for our elite and principal partners, principal and elite partners here, I do want to mention, so this year we had 4 principal partners. If you didn't have a regional conference this past year, you may not know that we added Commerce Bank and ADP as principal partners, and we will also be adding Corpay as a CFMA elite partner this year. Now, we still have to work on confirming the contacts for 2025 for all of these partners, and we will share that information later on. And I do want to have some conversation around the principal partner program. So as you know, the principal partners and now the elite partners as well, they are not just sponsors, they are really partners of CFMA. So if you think about, you know, the partners that we've had for a long time, you probably have people within your chapters or, you know, involved in your regional conferences that are really engaged with volunteerism within CFMA. So the hope is, you know, that we're really having alignment on vision and goals. And I want to share some of the benefits that are really those base partner benefit levels. This was a part of the conversation last time. And for those of you that have been involved with the regional conferences for a long time, you know that if what your conference does is a little bit different, that we, you know, have worked with you in the past in terms of what you're offering and in terms of those benefits. And we can certainly continue to do that. So we will send out a survey just to understand if these are benefits that you're offering, that you're able to offer, and if not, if there's something that can be offered instead. For some of these, I do want to point out, you know, if you have a conference bag that you're giving to attendees, it's great if you can include their marketing materials in there with the other sponsors. If you don't have a conference bag, you know, we're certainly not asking you to create it. It's just something that wouldn't be available as a benefit for your conference, and that's okay. So we have this up on our screen and we can, you know, certainly take some time to look through it, but really for this partnership, you know, the hope is that they have the opportunity to get engaged with volunteerism if that is an option at your conference and you have volunteer opportunities available, you know, that logo inclusion. And then if your conference does a call for speakers, there's certainly no expectations that, you know, anyone your conference is sending out you know, a speaker call for is being selected, but to include everybody in that when you do it is great. And then, you know, as you kind of go through this, you'll see when we get down to the exhibitor portion, Not every conference has a 6-foot table. That does seem to be the most commonly used. So if you don't have that size table, that's okay. I'll just ask for you to let us know. So if we know we need different size tablecloth, that kind of thing, that's all right. And then attendance for 2 people. Some conferences have different tickets for those that are attending the conference versus those that are going to be in the exhibitor hall. Others don't, but for those of you where there is a difference, that's for people to be staffing that exhibitor booth.
I have a
questions?
question there.
Yes.
So you mean as like attendance to the full conference, true attendances is the principal partner?
So some conferences do 1, some do 2. I think, the general thought.
But are
of-
you guys guaranteeing two to these people, or is it our discretion? The reason I'm asking is because we have diamond level sponsors that are paying more than the principal partners and they get 2. So I don't, and even our gold or sorry, our platinum sponsors, they're paying more than $3,000. So I don't think it's fair that we have to give 2.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure you're not guaranteeing that, because we're not going to agree to that.
Yeah,
And-
but this is a conversation I was kind of pulling together what that base level benefit looks like across the board for everyone. And then we can have some conversation about what that is for the individual conferences, because if for your conference that needs to be a little bit different, we certainly want to work with you on that and make sure that we're able to, align those benefits in a way that works for the conference, and works for the partners as well.
Sean, can I
And
make a
that-
comment?
Yes.
I just
Christina.
think that maybe overall for everyone, when any of our vendors become a sponsor, and including these principal partners that are getting the benefit of a $3,000 dollar package. If that package comes with free conference attendances, that's where I feel like that should be available. For all of those partners, those vendors that probably fall into those, some of the benefits under those particular packages might allow for an exhibit booth. And if they do, which these would too, because a 3,000 would probably provide for an exhibit booth, we allow 2 people to sit at their tables. And those 2 people, when you say attendance for 2 people at the booth, I don't think that means attendance to the conference, that means attendance to the exhibitor hall, such that we allow them to have snacks, lunch, go to a reception. That's the benefits of those 2 people. But if we always tell those 2 people sitting at the booth, if you are going to want to walk in the room and sit and listen to speakers, then you need to register for an attendance for that on top. And it's never been an issue, even with our principal partners. So I think it's more of a communication thing of making sure we're all on the same page of what some of this is. And I'm thinking that's what you mean by this.
Yes,
Yeah,
I mean,
Christina,
it all
thank you.
depends also on the conference. Like, we don't have a separate room. Our exhibit area is in the same room, so they get to
Oh.
listen. So
Mhm.
we don't want them having access to the food or the beverages or the happy hour. So it is a little different. So I guess that's where I'm getting at. It depends on the way each conference is. And I don't think we need to guarantee, every conference shouldn't have to guarantee 2 attendances. It should depend on how the conference is laid out and what each level is for each different conference.
And so if I could just, Sean mentioned this at the beginning, but I think it would be worth a little bit of clarification. This is what she's going to be doing is sending out a survey for each of the regionals with these items for, the base partner benefits of $3,000. Can you provide these items and check off what your regional can or will provide for the 3,000, and room for additional, if you can't or you don't want to do, exhibitor booths, or you can't, because in your case, you have the exhibitors in the room, where the actual education is going on. And so you can note that to say, the partner would need to purchase a full registration, but just let us know what can you or are willing to include for the $3,000, because we realize everybody is at a different point with their regional. And so what we're just trying to do is to find out what you can include And then we can streamline that with the partners, so there's not a lot of back and forth. And for the additional 3,500 on the survey, what can you include for if you have an additional 3,500 for a partner, so that we just know about that in advance. So if you're not able to, like, for example, the attendance, just clearly state out for us what that means, or what you're able to provide. And maybe it's just one registration, whatever it is for your regional, let us know. And then we will be working with the partners based off of the feedback that you give us. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
Sean, may I add to that? Hi, this is Monica representing Rocky Mountain. And for several years, we've been abiding by the 3,000 and happy to do it. And just for everyone else here on the regional call, what Rocky Mountain has always done is place them at a $3,000 level, and it's advertised on the website. So whatever's listed under there, and ours is 3,500. We just waive the extra 500 and don't even bother. It's just easier that way. But for many years, four of us and Viewpoint at the time have always on their own opted to go above and beyond. So if they want to be at the $5,000 or $6,000 level, we invoice them the difference and we put them at that level. But like you said, I think if it's just clearly communicated,
Yeah.
you get, CFMA nationally gives us 3,000. So we place you at the $3,000 level. If you'd like to upgrade, 100% up to you. This is what the $3,000 package gets.
Absolutely. And what we will ask on that survey also is for a link, or for you to upload what your packages are, if you have them, so that we can then communicate that to the partners. If they want to have additional exposure, here are the options, and here are the contacts for each of the regionals, so they can reach out to you. But we'll also be providing the contacts for not only principal and elite partners, but also the strategic partners, like we talked about in our last call.
So I have a question, Heidi. So I know, we've been accustomed now to the principal partners, and like we have a problem with invitation to the planning committee because that's very structured, who gets to be on the actual planning committee. So we'll definitely feed that back when we get the survey. But tell me about the elite partnership. Like, I know now we have the table runners and things like that list the principals. Will it also list the elite partner? So we'll have
Yes, it
5?
will. Yes, it will list, and there, you'll notice it on the masthead of the most recent issue, the November, December of Building Profits, where we've listed the principal partner and the elite partner on the masthead. And so it will only be one table runner that will list both, all 5 of them. Does that answer your question?
Yes, so the elite partner will also be contributing 3,000 base, or I'm just trying to get an idea of if there are any differences
Yes.
between.
Yeah, they will.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And you'll have in the survey, if you don't have the availability to invite them to be on the planning committee, then you'll just not select that and tell us, no, we can't include that.
Great, thank you.
Well, thank you all so much for sharing those thoughts. We certainly understand that every conference is different. I know we had some conversation last time, to try and see if maybe there were just standard benefits that everyone was, offering. Since it didn't seem to be the case, we kind of wanted to share from this point, then move forward with that survey and just really reassure you all that we're, here to work with you. We're really hoping that this can be a good partnership, and, perhaps there are opportunities to volunteer and get involved, not necessarily on the planning committee, but even if you have, day of event opportunities for someone to take pictures or assist or something like that, to maybe include. So anything else, any other questions, comments, concerns before we move forward? Okay, thank you. Okay, so then the other piece is that this year, Heidi had a few strategic partners come forward that were interested in supporting the regional conferences. So we had some conversation at our last meeting, and it was requested that we really just put together a listing for all of you, and then provide that information and contact information. And then if your conference is interested in additional partnership and sponsorship support, you can reach out to them directly. So again, we're getting the contacts together for the principal partners and elite partners now, and that list will be built and put together for you in the near future as well. But just so you know, to be looking for that when that's available. Any questions on that? Those of you that were involved in a conference in 2024 are probably a little bit more familiar. If you're not, I'm happy to go into it more. Okay. Marketing support. So I want to share that in 2024, Susan had put together some great tools for us for marketing support. Susan is on the call, and thank you, Susan, for all you've done. And if anyone has questions, please jump in and let me know. So we will have the tools and templates available for you. We will be hosting these webinars, and then we will also have some, marketing support when it comes to the partner work. So we'll make sure that we have those logos available for you. We'll work to build those CFMA presentations alongside you again this year, and really trying to work to make sure that if you have specific areas you want to cover, that we're making sure to include that in there for you. And for all of you, I just want to make sure. So for the regional conferences, we know that you're managing and updating your own marketing materials, but we do have templates for you available if you would like to use them. So we can still provide support. We have the templates in Canva. Hopefully they're easy to use and you can do a lot of the updates yourself. But if you do need some support, we do have it available. As far as the email blasts go, we are asking that if you want to work with a nearby chapter, that you reach out to them directly. You may be able to do more with them than what we would be able to do just sending out an email anyway, in terms of conversation about could they promote it on social media for you? Could they mention it at a chapter meeting, something like that? And what we will do is we will include in those what's happening emails, the regional conferences. It's mentioned at the annual conference. It will be included in Building Profits. So we'll be working to promote this in a lot of different ways as well. Any questions on that before I move forward? Okay, so the next thing that I have is actually a poll, if I can figure out how to launch this here without getting out of my presentation completely. Okay. All right, let me see. Sorry, everybody. Okay, polls, here we go. Launching the poll. So our hope is to just understand the access level that you have so that we know the features that we should be adding to the tool for the different things that we're building for you. If everyone has a free account or a paid account, there are probably different features that are available. And thank you all for answering this so quickly. Everything's really coming in here. Okay. All right, I will go ahead and end the poll and share the results. So we do have some people that don't have an account. You have a free account, so everything that's available right now you can get into, access, and update with that free account. There's nothing else you have to do. For those of you that have a paid account, there are probably more features that you have access to and things that you can do. And that's just good knowledge for us to have. So these are some of the, yes, go ahead.
One of the questions in the chat from Tori was, when do we plan to release the 2025 templates or anything new? So Susan might be able to answer that.
Hi, everybody. We'll probably be releasing them in the early summer, like probably after our annual conference.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, go ahead, Sean.
Hey, thank you. So some of these I think are already available in the Canva design side and on the Connection Cafe community from what we used for last year. All right, let me get in here. Okay, so this of course was the template for social media, LinkedIn and Facebook. This is a pop-up banner over here on the right. So we have a template available for that you can adjust and update and print as you need. And this is an email header that you can use as well. And if a lot of you are using, similar things that you think maybe we could benefit from adding something, to be a template, please let us know. That's where all of this came from your request last year. So be sure to share. And then this is a template for the conference agenda. I know that we had many people use this last year, and it goes into multiple pages. I tried to make sure that my screenshot here showed that for you so that you can see there's more than one page, and it continues on, room for the QR code and all of those good things. Thank you, Susan, for putting these together. And when you are working on this, I am going to ask that we try and give Susan as much lead time as possible. If you need something created, please email it to me. We're going to be using a management tool so that I can get that updated in there. And Susan and I can be on the same page if anyone has a question in terms of where something is, and I can assist with that. We are asking that you give like 4 to 6 weeks. Now, that doesn't mean that if there's an emergency, you can't reach out. If you have an emergency, please let us know, and we are going to be happy to help and support you in any way that we can. But if, for example, you need help with, a listing of speaker bios and you're waiting for the final speaker to come in, you can certainly send everything you have and we can get the template created and then kind of plug that stuff in a little bit later. So if you know early, just give us as much time as you can to try and get it all put together for you. Susan, did I cover it all? Is there anything else I should add there?
Just we're happy to help and assist with any support that you may need, but Canva's pretty intuitive, and since the templates are set up, we're encouraging people to, use it on their own as much as possible. And if you need additional support, to feel free to reach out to myself or Sean.
Thank you. Okay, so a few changes for 2025. We had some conversation at Chapter Summit this past year regarding the general to associate ratio, and that being really a qualifying number as far as chapter benchmarking goes. I know there was some concern that some of the regional conferences have more associate members that are joining, and I do want to let you all know that that will no longer be a part of eligibility criteria for chapter benchmarking awards. There will still be, a slight point deduction. All of that isn't finalized and announced just yet if you fall under that 50%, but it is not an eligibility criteria piece. So I do hope for those of you that have regional conferences that are working to have people join through that membership card that you received there, that will be helpful for all of you in doing that. And then also I had some comments this year about Spring Creek taking place at a time that was inconvenient based on the regional conferences. I do want to assure you all that we are considering all of the dates you're submitting when we're looking at the Spring Creek dates. Unfortunately, with the time of year, it's hard to get completely away from it. I can't guarantee it won't be on your date, but I can let you know that we're looking at it and we're going to, do our best to avoid as many of the conference dates as we can. While, conferring with the people that need to be there that the dates will work for them as well. So those are the 2 updates I have for you on that. Any questions? Okay, and then more details to come on the process for including a CFMA speaker this year. I know, we had officers and members of our executive team out and about at the regional conferences speaking. I had the opportunity to go to regional conference. They were really great, and I thank you all for all that you did, and we hope that we'll be able to, work with you and get an update on that soon. We do have the Select Speaker Program available. These are speakers that offer a discounted rate for CFMA chapters or regional conferences when they're hosting them. I know some of you are probably very early in the planning stages for who will be speaking, so I didn't want to get too into the weeds with the different tools and options we have available, but I know that this can be helpful, especially at this stage, so I wanted to share that with you all now. And now I'd like for us to have some discussion that hopefully will be helpful to all of the conferences. I'm hoping that we can do a little bit of a roundtable and share some experiences as far as the audio-visual needs are concerned. So if you could tell us a little bit about your conference's most recent audio-visual experience, and if you've learned any tips you'd like to share with the group, we would so appreciate hearing those. And Jenny is on the call. Jenny, would you like to say hi to the group?
Hello.
Thank you. So who would like to kick us off and get started today?
This is Catherine with the New England Regional. Happy just to chime in what we've done over the past few years. So we've traditionally hosted our conference in Boston the last 3 years. We've always gone with an outside AV. Probably saved, when I look at the quotes we get from the hotel, they usually range anywhere from like $20,000 to $25,000 for AV needs, and our conference is only a day and a half. And the outside AV's been around 6,000 to 7,000, so significant savings by just going with outside AV.
That's
And
what
that's
CFMA National uses outside AV as well.
Yep, and they've been great. They've done the stage set, like we've rented a stage from them, the double screens, the draping, podiums, microphones, and they always have a full-time person on site during the conference, over to the side that we can leverage for any kind of last minute changes.
Great, thank you. Anyone else like to jump in and share how that has worked for them in their conference? This was a big topic of discussion when we had our 2024 wrap-up call, and I know that not everyone on this call was able to be there. So I'd really, appreciate if we could share and everyone planning for this year could benefit from that experience.
I can tell you one thing that really helped us is making sure that it's in the contract. Like when you're in the contract negotiation stage, a lot of times it'll say in there either that you must use their AV or that there might be a fee if you choose to use a different AV. So once we did it one time a few years ago, we just make sure that it's in that initial contract. And so that just makes it easy as you're going down the road.
Yeah, and I think to that
Yeah.
point, we would just
Yeah.
negotiate the hotel that they wouldn't charge us any additional for outside AV.
The sooner you negotiate with the hotels, the easier you'll have it. If you can get it negotiated in your original agreement with them, it's easier. But yes, AV is everybody's thorn. Same thing with Wi-Fi. There's some people, we've not done it at the national level yet, but there are Wi-Fi providers out there that will bring the Wi-Fi to you, depending on the hotel. But yeah, it's for those of you who don't know, Encore and PSAV, they're the same company now. And it's pretty much a monopoly out there. They're in most hotels now. And typically, although the hotels won't tell you, typically the agreement with the hotels is they do a 50-50 split. Sometimes I've seen a 60-40 split, where Encore keeps 60, the hotel keeps 40. But in any event, it's hard. This is a hard one to negotiate out because the hotels don't have to do anything. It's just revenue. It's just open money. So, or free money for them. So it's a hard one to negotiate, but the sooner you go to negotiate with these hotels, the easier it's going to be.
That's interesting. I'll echo what the New England said. We at Southwest Regional, we went without outsource.
Outside.
Yeah, outside. Yeah, it was called Latest Craze. So the original quote we got from Encore was 25,000, and Latest Craze came in right at match our budget at 15, and then Encore gave us a revised that matched our budget of 15. But we went ahead and stayed with Latest Craze, and their actual expense came in at around 11.4. And then the interesting thing was that we had left out, the power strips on the tables. And so we asked just quick and easy, go to Encore to see if they could do that for us. They quoted $5,500 for like 24 strips.
Yep.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. So I went to Latest Craze and they did it for like $525. So I mean, those are the markups you're looking at. It's crazy. And it's interesting that you say that the hotel split. That's
They do.
that,
It's
that makes
insane.
sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So I have a question for you, Dave.
Yeah.
When you brought in that many power strips, did the hotel
Yeah.
charge you electric?
No, they didn't, but we did have we did have a little issue because apparently the meeting room was on the same circuit as the kitchen, and they flipped on some what do you call it? I don't know what it was, some accessories in the kitchen, and it blew the circuit, and one of our sessions went down and we lost audio. But Latest Craze jumped in and got it all figured out what the problem was and got it fixed by the next session. But we had one
great.
session, the guys had to yell, but it was, I mean,
That's
other
fun.
than that, but that was the hotel's issue. That wasn't, that wasn't the AV's
Yep.
issue that actually solved the problem. So
That's great.
yeah.
But you'll run across that if you bring your own electric or your own equipment. There are some hotels that will charge you power now, especially if you don't use the in-house.
Yeah. The other thing too, you have to watch for be careful of when you're getting the AV quote is, what does it all include? Does it include, the curtain or whatever they call it, the
Pipe and drape. Yep.
yeah, pipe and draping and all of that kind of stuff. And one thing everybody had left out was the stage on ours. So we were able to get a stage from the hotel for $400. So
See,
that
that's
was a
something
big
you can
difference.
typically get for free from the hotels. So most hotels
Okay.
will have risers. Just
Okay.
ask them if they can give it to you for free.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, most hotels will give you that for free. Now they have a limited supply, so it depends on the hotel and who's,
Yeah.
how many groups they have in-house. But if you're just looking for, a stage riser, they should put that down for free.
Okay.
Jenny,
Well,
would that
we'll
include
remember
the,
that for Long Beach.
would that include the podium as well, Jenny?
No, well, it depends on the hotel. I don't typically have to pay for podiums. Those are usually free. Now the fancy ones that if any of you have attended, I know some of you have, the annual conference, our general session, the fancier ones, those we do pay for, but for breakout rooms, they don't usually charge you for podiums either. I don't know the last time I got charged for podiums. Now you can order a podium, they'll drop it, but they're not going to include the mic with that. That's AV. So things you shouldn't be paying for are risers, podiums, the old wooden, your typical hotel podium, and sign easels. Those are all, depends on your hotel, but those are some what I call fluff charges. And if you don't know that it's not normal, you can negotiate your way out of those.
I think the last several conferences we've gotten Wi-Fi free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we get a sponsor, so then we make money on
Then you make money off of it, right?
Yeah.
And
But
another
that's
thing
one
that
of
has
Dave, those
come
are one
up-
of those things. The Wi-Fi is one of those things that you need to put in your agreement when you're contracting with the hotel early on.
Another thing that has come up is the number of microphones.
Mhm.
So if you're having a panel conversation or something like that, I guess, another thing we can talk about is what worked for you in terms of making sure you had enough microphones, and Jenny, you might have insight on that.
Yeah, so if you're having a roundtable discussion, or not a roundtable, a panel discussion, I don't typically do this with with the annual conference, but we certainly do it for the AGC CFMA conference, which is a lot more budget friendly. What we typically do is we'll pay for 2 or 3 lavalier mics, and then if there's any more people added to the panel, we have them share a handheld mic. And no one's it's never been an issue, especially panel discussions, because they're not all going to be talking at the same time. But you do need to pay attention to how many, if you have more than one breakout room going on, you need to pay attention to how many mics you have in each room, especially when it's just being split by an air wall. You'll get a lot of kickback from those mics if you're not careful. And, you know, I think I don't know if it needs to be said. I think most people would look at it this way too. So if you have, you have multiple breakout sessions in each time spot, and you have a panel on, you know, the first time slot, the second time slot, try to get that panel in the same room so you're not, you know, paying for too many mics, and, you know, it's unneeded. You can't move the mics from one room to another without them charging you. So it's easier. It's like playing Tetris, right? So you have to do all the likes together. It can be challenging though, I can tell you that, especially if you know how many people are going in each breakout session. So to try to do, you know, look at it in that aspect as well.
Does anyone have anything else they would like to share around this area, or questions maybe for the group that perhaps someone else has some experience with?
I just had one comment. I know you just talked about the preferred speaker program, and I know on our last call, Brian mentioned that there were also some CFMA related topics like the benchmarker and the heavy equipment comparator that if the regional conferences were so inclined that they could ask about or inquire about. So where is that information so that way it can be considered, since I know right now a lot of regionals are really starting to get their agendas set.
Okay, great. Yeah, I can get some additional information on that, and I can share that in that Connection Cafe community as well. I know that we touched on it briefly on our 2024 wrap-up call, and my preference would be if we could get everyone on to go into a little bit more detail on that in the not so distant future. We do hope to have these calls fairly regularly, even if they're shorter calls, to provide a forum and give updates and, you know, allow all of you a chance to catch up and touch base on things that may be shared experience across the regional conferences. So I'll get those things updated to that community to answer your question, Carol, and then hopefully we can go more in depth in the future.
Great, thank you.
Anything else to share? Any questions, even if it's not necessarily on this, things that you're working on right now while we're all together? Okay. Well, I will share our last slide then, and this is contact information for all of us. If you need anything, we are here to help. Please reach out to me, even if it's something that, you know, I can't specifically help you with. Hopefully I can get you to the right person that can support you with that. I know we are going to be starting to work on websites. If you have an updated website for this year, we want to make sure we include that. You know, I know there are different changes that happen from time to time. So when we are sharing the information as far as what we're going to be putting on the website, please make sure that you're double checking that to make sure the dates are correct, the list of sponsoring chapters is correct. I know, you know, from time to time things change, so I want to make sure that we're getting that exactly as you would like it to appear. And really, I just want to thank you all for giving of your time and talent in support of the conferences and CFMA overall. We wish you a wonderful rest of the year, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2025. And thank you for all you're doing. These conferences really help further the mission and really bring incredible education and networking to all of your communities. So if there's anything else, we'll hang out on the call for a few minutes. So if you want to stay and ask a question at the end, you're welcome to. Other than that, we'll give you all back a few minutes today, and thank you. Heidi, anything to add?
No, just thank you, Sean, for putting this together and regrouping all of us and sharing best practices. So thank you for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thank you both for all the resources.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thanks. Happy holidays.
Take care.
Thank you, Carol.